is up, everybody? Welcome back to the British Pokemon League Championship show. Don't worry, it's not the British Pokemon League show. I'm not here a day early. I do know what day it is. I'm not that old just yet. It is your boy Matt Star, hosting the Championship show. Just for this week, maybe a few more weeks during the season. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I thought I'd throw my feather into this cap for this week, and just thought you could do a single a little bit more of this handsome face. We've already seen it once already this week, but you could see it again. But yeah, we're closing in onto sort of the halfway point of the midway point of the season now. It's week 4. We've got another couple of weeks until the actual halfway point and the trades begin. I think that's where things get a little bit exciting. Hang on, I'll just tell you. Yeah, so we're closing in on that midway point of the season. Always an exciting time when we get to the yeah, so we're closing in on that trade window, and I think it's always after the trade window, the business end of the season really kicks off. So let's take a look at the league table going into this week's. As you can see, it's starting to be really strong on the championship. Join the top of the league is Scuba Squirtles Kyogre Canucks.
Well, if you're wondering what's happened, so am I. The computer that we have running our news from time to time.
I turned the wrong one down. That's fine. Yeah, as you will see, it is the league table after week number 3 there. Scuba Squirtles and the Kyogre Canucks are tied for first place, both on 3-0, and the plus 5 game difference. Closely followed behind by the Pummeling Lickies and the California Bastiodons on that 2-1 record. You know, third and fourth spot is not as plumb of a spot as first and second. Of course, you go into the relegation playoff if you finish third or fourth. So, you know, Oma and Ted and those below are definitely going to be fighting to try and get into that top 2. RazzleDazzleSalazzles and Dragonites both on that 1 and 2 record in 5th and 6th. And then at the bottom, they're both joined for 7/8th is the Nice Sidonia, and the Tyrant Tyrant. Sorry. You know, both teams formerly of the Premier Division. Not made the best start of life here in the Championship Division, so they'll be looking to turn that around. And as we look over to the schedule, you will see there in the second game of this week, the Nice Sidonia and the Tyrants are going to be facing off against each other, so exciting to see who's going to get the better of each other on that one. I don't think them two played last season. No, they will have played last season. They did play last season in the Premier Division. I couldn't remember if it was after a certain point, but yeah, they did play. And it was Silver that took the W last time, so Jabber is going to be looking for a little bit of revenge there. But our first match of the week is the RazzleDazzleSalazzles versus Scuba Squirtles. Of course, it is Joe and his Salazzles debut season in the British Pokemon League. Niels, of course, in his second season, aiming to trying to get back to that Premier Division and doing a great job so far, sat atop of the Championship Division. Making a great start of life, so it's always nice to see from our boy Niels. We already mentioned that second match of the week. Up on third match of the week is the Kyogre Canucks versus Cali Bastiodons. The Bastiodons, another team that came from the Premier Division last week, looking to try and make an instant bounce back. They made a decent start so far as Oma. You know, 2-1, lost out to Niels, who's currently top of the table and early on. So we'll be looking to try and rectify that and keep that winning run going, but has got a formidable foe in the Kyogre Canucks, who in their debut season in the British Pokemon League have made the unbeaten start. Of course, we saw that match versus Ted and his Pummeling Lickies last week, so it'll be definitely interesting to see how that one goes down. Now, a final match of the week, it is the Dragonites taking on the Pummeling Lickies. Ted, you know, again in his debut season, making a pretty strong start of life in the British Pokemon League. You know, it's really weird just how close that top 4 is. You know, there's very little to really separate them, and the same with the bottom 4. You know, I think they're all pretty close together, and that fight for third and fourth is going to be mighty exciting. But on to our first match of the week then. It is the Scuba Squirtles taking on the RazzleDazzleSalazzles then. So, as you'll see in previous weeks, that Marshadow has been an absolute nightmare for opponents recently. You know, that double sort of mythical duo of Marshadow and Volcanion have been really putting in the work. You know, I previously had Volcanion passing myself, and is a very strong one. You know, the water fire typing it's very interesting to say the least, and the water absorb as well is very nice to have. You know, it's got a pretty strong move as well, and that steam eruption sort of signature move as well as the signature move of Marshadow Spectral Thief. You know, we've already seen it cause problems for the likes of Omu when they've got their weakness policy set up. And you know, last week when you know, we saw that it's still Hitmonlee's stat boost, so it's, you know, it is not to be trifled with. And you know, Sylveon, or you know, that Delphox, you know, sat next to it, has just been causing problems for teams left, right, and centre thus far. So be interested to see what sort of answer Joe has for Niels and that Scuba Squirtles team. You know, we've also saw a little bit of Sylvally and Walrein putting in the work as well. You know, Walrein, I don't know a whole lot about Walrein, other than it's pretty much just a sort of Mamoswine variant, I guess. Well, not Mamoswine variant, but it is very much a Mamoswine type Pokemon. You know, it'd be exciting to see if Brilliant and Decidueye are going to come along at some point, you know. But I think for the likes of the Banette and you know, the Vaporeon, the Salamence, the Marshadow, Sylveon, and Volcanion sort of core of the team really sort of takes care of that. So it might be, you know, something that might be worthwhile on Joe's team is that Weezing Galacticos has that neutralizing gas ability. It could be really interesting to see if he brings that along, just to try and, you know, stop some of those abilities being such a bother. Especially Marshadow's that Technician ability does. Those low power moves really end up packing a punch. You know, not that we've seen Niels really use those low power moves so much. I said there's just been Spectral Thief putting in the work. Joe has been having quite a lot of luck with that Mega Salamence as of recent. But you know, one thing we're going to give credit to Joe and of course Cage as well, who's the coach of the Dragonites. Is I know Joe has played draft leagues in the past, but it's Adam from Dragonites' first ever draft league, and I'm pretty sure it's Joe's first ever doubles draft league. And you know, I think we've got to give them a lot of credit just for sort of what they're doing so far. They've been putting on some really strong performances, and we're seeing some really sort of out of the ordinary, you know, different strats that and sort of team comes that you wouldn't normally expect, but you know, I think work very much in a sort of draft league setting. And you know, they've maybe not made the ideal start that they wanted to, but that's, you know, it's very early days. As we always say, there is plenty of Pokemon left to play until there isn't, and then there isn't. But until then, you know, I think they can take a lot from it, and you know, just got to keep taking it a game at a time. This is going to be a very tough game for Joe and his Salazzles. You know, Neil's on an absolute tear right now and really on form. So let's get into this one. It is a replay game, so I will do my very best to try and keep up with it. But let's get into it. It's the Scuba Squirtles taking on the RazzleDazzleSalazzles. Joe is picking up the Pro and using that, and Neil's with the Sylveon and Volcanions. But there's a reason for the Misty Twins. I got these, I guess, where it just kind of stuff. The Hypervoice Sneak Picking in the Hypervoice is going to get blocked by that wildcat. So really good news for Joe to start. It sounds like going to get some good damage with some Weezing and not enough then. Sorry, I know the volume's probably a bit loud there. Not quite enough, and Weezing is going to switch out into that Mega Salamence. Really great switch in there, great reads on the stop and the score. Oh, Salamence takes a really big hit from the Hyper Voice there, and Throw only just hanging on to the second throw. He's going to switch Sylveon out and brings in the Delphox. Salamence, of course, just goes for Mega and is going to go for the Roost as well. So smart stuff there from Joe is keeping that Salamence alive. Throw, unfortunately, is going to go down to Delphox, and the Volcanion with its high special attack and gets a really big damage with Salamence. And Banette coming in with that Misty Terrain, so and Misty Seed, sorry, Shadow Sneak. Not really doing a whole lot to Walrein, but a good read there from Niels to sort of see that coming. Salamence again just about hanging on to things. The Volcanion switch out for that Delphox to Shadow Sneak straight into that Delphox slot, and Aintail not quite enough to Walrein, but goes into that Banette spot with the Cursed Body. Is going to block that out, and Banette goes into that Delphox once again, and Hyper Voice able to take out both Walrein and Delphox, and all of a sudden chose to really turn this one around as the Volcanion and Sylveon are going to switch in. Aintail going to take on the Sylveon, so it's all up to that Volcanion's Heatwave is going to take out the Salamence and Banette, so now it's all up to Weezing Galar, and I don't think it's going to be able to pull this one back. Scorching Sands is going to do enough, and Neil's going to take the lead in this one into our game number 2. We go then, and Joe switching up the Whimsicott and the Salamence lead, and Neil sticking that Volcanion and Sylveon lead that worked so well in that game 1. Is it going to be able to live the Hype Voice as well? Switcher comes out, it's going to switch it. The Assault Vest though onto Whimsicott, that's very unfortunate. The Heatwave gets a really big damage with the Whimsicott there, and Hyper Voice, the Salamence hangs on with 1% HP. Whimsicott somehow just about hanging on. There's the Hyper Voice of its own hitting back, not quite enough to that Volcanion. Dazzling Gleam, of course, not really gonna, even with the critical hit, not really gonna quite do enough. And Heatwave from that Volcanion is gonna take out both Whimsicott and the Salamence then. Oh, that is a big one. as in comes the Vaporeon. Then not really water moves are not really going to be the one for Volcanic Hyper Voice. Again, gets a nice critical hit. The Sludge Wave is going to take out the Sylveon and Volcanion, so Joe is going to tie it up in 2 apiece. What can this Vaporeon and Weezing duo do against that Marshadow that has a Wall Ring? He's going to switch in, Spectral Feed comes out. That's such a big hitting move. Vaporeon just about hanging on the muddy water, not quite enough. It does get the accuracy drop. Doesn't gleam. No, Marshadow just about hanging on. The Crunch is going to take out Vaporeon, and once again Weezing is left with it all to do. Spectral Thief though is going to get the job done, gets the critical hit to boot, and Niels is going to take that one and move on to a 4-0 with another 2-0 win. Really strong start from Niels. You know, he's been playing really well this season. You know, he's started out a lot better than he did last season. It's very, very nice to see him, you know, just playing so well. So GG's to Niels. And, you know, GG's to Joe. That game 1 was incredibly close. You know, the crit mattered there. The crit mattered there. Just kidding. Yeah, both games were really, really close. You know, Joe made a very, very good account of himself and played some really strong stuff there. So unlucky on Joe's end, and we will see him back next week. We're on to our second game of the week then. It is that bottom of the table clash. The Knights of Sidonia taking on the Tyrants. You know, as we mentioned earlier on, these are 2 former Premier Division players down there in the Championship Division. Now, you know, both relegated last season, so definitely the point to prove. And definitely trying to claw the way back. But Jabba, without a win in the British Pokemon League since week 1 of season 3, so has one hell of a bad record. He's got to try and end, and I think if he's going to end it, he's got to try and end it here. You know, this is you've got to try and get some momentum at this point in the season. You know, because it can really domino effect and sort of not go your way from that point. And he's got a very, very strong lineup. You know, he's got the Kingdra that compare really well with that Tornadus, setting up the pranks of Rain Dance. Or, you know, Tornadus can go for the Tailwind with the Dracozolt. You know, really hit hard with those Volt Absorbs, which I think are going to be really... Not Volt Absorb, sorry, Bolt Beak. Volt Absorb, where my head is at, I don't know. Those Bolt Beaks are going to be really, really strong here against the likes of the Palipet and the Blastoise and Crobat. You know, it's got a really strong sweeper there in Dracozolt. And you know that Houndoom as well. If his opponent is going to be sort of changing the weather to the sunny day, Houndoom can come in, you know, the Mega Houndoom, and really get some big hits off. You know, something like the Ferrothorn, Cottony, Kricketune, and not going to enjoy taking that one. But of course, to be careful on the Tyrant side, because that Octillery, if there's one mon that someone knows in and out, it is this Octillery. And Silver, you know, we saw him put in the work with it last season, and it became such a nuisance. So, you know, he's very, very strong with that Pokemon, and Ferrothorn as well. You know, Silver really knows the stall game very well, so I think that's very much what we might see here is Silver just trying to win out the stall game with something like the Ferrothorn, as long as he can, you know, just watch, you know, keep an eye on those fire attacks. You know, you don't want Jabba to, you know, either end up setting up Sunny Day or, you know, doing anything to buff the fire attacks on his side. You know the likes of the Dracozolt does get Fire Fang, and a Deoxys attack as well. I'm unsure. I'm unsure if this gets any fire moves, Deoxys attack, but this thing hits like an absolute truck. It might be frail as a piece of paper, but this thing hits hard. You know, it's why it's the attack variant of the Deoxys trio. On the Tyrant side, you know, we've already mentioned that Octillery. We've seen him getting a little bit of use out of that Wobbuffet and Kricketune, with Kricketune using Perish Song. So, you know, I could definitely see Silver maybe giving that a try in this game. Just try and catch Jabba a little bit off guard. You know, if you can play the switching game really smartly, they might be able to pull that off. You know, something like the Regidrago, or, you know, a Mega Blastoise, or even like the Octillery can come in late game and really just sweep and cause Jabba all sorts of problems. So this one could be a very interesting one. It's a difficult one to call. These two are said planted right at the bottom of the table. Let's get into this one. It is the nicest Sidonia taking on the Tyrants. I'll just turn down the game volume there just so you can hear me nice and clearly. And it is the Hippopotas and the Zolt starting with each other. So Hippopotas is going to be able to set up the sand despite the Palipet opposing. Of course, Hippopotas is slow, and Dracozolt now going to be able to make full use of that Sand Rush. And those Bolt Beaks are really going to be hitting hard if it hits first. Of course, Bolt Beak, the Zolt version of Vicious Rend, gets double the power if it's going first. And this thing is very, very, very scary if you let it go first. That is for sure. Unless you've got Volt Absorb or Lightning Rod on your side, and then not so much. Unfortunately, Silver does not have that that going for him, but does switch in the Klefki for that purpose and makes a good read. That ball beat still does so much damage to the Klefki, and the Kricketune does go for the protection. Did forget to mention Kricketune is also on the field. That yawn from the Hippopotas does get blocked by that protect, and just stops that Kricketune from either having to switch out or think about what he wants to do with it here. But the Klefki, you've got to presume, is going to go down within the next turn or two. Sandstorm being up, and it being on such low HP is 100% going down. Reflect comes out. There's the Bolt Beak onto the Klefki's. Klefki's on, so it's at least going to, nullify some of the damage going the Kricketoone's way, and the rest of Silver's team from that heavy physical damage in Dracozolt. In comes the Blastoise, and is it the Mega Blastoise? Then you've got to presume it is on Silver's side, but it's got to do something to try and keep those Bolt Beaks away from the Blastoise here, because that is maybe not what you want to switch into here. Especially while the sand is stuck, he's maybe going to try and stall that weather out, and just do something to put that thing to an end, because it's getting very, very scary, very, very fast. This thing can sweep through a team without so much of a care in the world. Kricketune has gone for said sword stance though, so that could get quite scary, as caused to get yawned that last time. So we've got to play this one carefully, but if you can get an attack off with that Kricketune, it would be very special to see a Kricketune sweep right here. There is the fake out from the Blastoise, so that's what you want to see, at least to stop the Dracozolt doing something. And there is the Parasong stockpile coming out from the Hippopotas, so a very, very passive turn all round. The Parasong going off is really huge, but Silver now has got to be careful and play around that. He can't, as much as it's nice to have that Kricketune on 2 turns attack, it is now asleep, and it's also, being perished. So he's got 3 turns, he's on the timer. Jabba with all 4 mons still, so really just in a good position to just sort of be able to switch something in. No Wobbuffet in that team of 6 for Silver, so there's got no way to sort of keep the Hippopotas and Dracozolt hanging around. But Jabba may just choose to go on the offensive and try and take out, as the Blastoise just go for the protect, stops that Bolt Econ going off, and stops the high horsepower as well. So Jabba doubling in there, and no one turn wake up for Silverson, doesn't quite get the RNG there. Christine the Kricketune, nice. Can't let the Kricketune wake up anytime soon. I think that's maybe his way back into this. Is either the Blastoise going for its Mega, or the Kricketune getting some damage on Blastoise. He's going to switch out in because the Pelipper changed that weather. Kricketune does get the wake up. There's the Fell Stinger, but not quite enough damage to the Dragonlord, and that is definitely not the switch in you want to make. He has at least reset the weather, and got the Parasong off of the Blastoise, but now Kricketune has one more time to go, and Jabba still hasn't switched out at the Dracozolt or the Hippopotas, so this could be quite a chaotic turn here. We could have all 4 mons go down here, or at least 3 of them going down. Silver's got no switching for that Kricketune, so it is going down either way in this next turn. Can he at least get it a kill before it goes down? Or is Jabba going to go on the offensive and take it out before it can do anything? The Reflect going up from Klefki really hasn't sort of saved Silver in this scenario, but those Bolt Beaks are just they're going to hit you so hard, especially into something 4 times effective, or even 2 times effective like the Blastoise and Pelipper. It's very, very scary stuff. I think this is quite a low amount of turns for a game that Silver's involved in. I'm not gonna lie. Usually, expected double digits. So being on turn 6 and as being this close to a game, and as Jabba does finally make the switch out, gets the fake out on the Dracozolt, and the Fell Stinger is going to allow Dracozolt to go down. Gets the attack boost from Fell Stinger, but unfortunately the Kricketune goes down, and now it's all up to the Blastoise as Hippopotas comes in to reset the weather. Sandstorm goes up again, so that's going to be doing a little bit of chip damage away to that Blastoise. It hasn't Mega yet, so you've maybe got to presume that either Silver's preserving it, or he's, for some reason, or has not brought the Megastone. The Scald comes out, not quite enough to the Hippopotas. Does get the burn though. Yawn onto the Blastoise. I knew that potentially would be coming there, and now Silver's in a world of trouble. He's going to go to sleep this next turn. And he's got 3 months to take down with his Blastoise, which looks to be no Megastone this time round. So whether he's forgotten it, or whether it's just a sort of Tactical decision, not too sure on that one. This game one does look to be Jabba's for the taking, so making the start that he would have wanted in that sort of battle at the bottom, we shall call it. Number 8, here we go. Both coaches just taking their time to decide what they want to do here. Scald coming out against it is at least going to get another one down. Hippopotas. Roxhume comes out from the Capraja. Not really getting much damage output from the big elephant. So as I said, it is leftovers Blastoise. No Mega Sun. And Houndoom is the final Pokemon then for Jabba. really like clutch yawn there. You've got to think if the yawn doesn't come out. I mean, I know Houndoom is really strong, but you know Blastoise here potentially could have 1v3'd if it wasn't for that yawn. So good stuff there from Jabba. And now Houndoom, you would think, is going to be able to just sort of clean sweep from here with help of the Capraja. Body Slam, not quite enough, but the Sandstorm is going to take it out. And there is game number 1 going Jabba's way. Then so on to game number 2. Silver with it all to do to try and bring himself back into this one. So you can see that the Farfon is in the 6th, and the Farfon does come this time with Klefki next to it. And Jabba bringing the Tornadus, and Drake has also got the Deoxys attack in the back that we didn't see in that game one. So that will always be in the back of Silver's mind, that Deoxys attack. It's a very scary Pokemon. Of course, is very frail, but you've got to try and put a stop to it. Fezz's Tailwind comes out there. There's Thunder Wave. It's going to, cause a bit of annoyance on the Tornadus. The Fire Fan comes out, and the Iron Barb's Rocky Helmet's going to give a bit of chip damage away back to the Drake as well. But not quite enough. That Fire Fang did so much damage to the Ferrothorn, and that wasn't even in the sun. Result with that Fire Fang is going to be able to get damage away to both the Klefki and the Ferrothorn. See, Klefki does go for the Reflect. U-turn comes out from the Tornadus. That's going to allow the Hippopotas to switch into now. Has the benefit of Sand Rush and the Tailwind then. So Drake is going faster than the speed of light as of present. Rain Dance comes out from the Klefki. That's massive there from Silver as he stops that attack from doing anywhere near as much as the Ferrothorn. And the Drake will take some damage back from that as these Hippopotas is going to go for the stockpile. And Leech Seed comes out from the Ferrothorn. So Silver going the ways of trying to stall Jabba out here with the Leech Seeds going up. You know, you can comfortably go for a Leech Seed here really in Hippopotas as well. You know, Jabba's kind of in a catch-22 here. He needs to take care of the Ferrothorn, but you know, if he's going to keep hitting it, he's going to keep taking hits from the Rocky Helmet and from the Iron Bars. As Kricketune switches in, as he Ball Beat comes out from the... Oh my goodness, that does so much. It takes out the Kricketune, and Leechy's going to come out from the Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn managed to get some chip damage away back to the Hippopotas and the Drake result thanks to those Leech Seeds and the Rocky Helmet Iron Barbs. Ferrothorn just kind of one-man teaming as of right now. That, you know, Klefki just there to provide full support of what is that final mon on Silver's side. You would expect it to be, you know, the Blastoise. But, you know, any three of the other switch-ins there are really not good options into that Drake result, so you've got to think carefully here. It is the Blastoise then that switches in. Tailwind has at least gone down. I think the Drake result would probably still be faster than the Blastoise all the way. Blastoise just go for the protection, no fake out the sound, stops the ball coming out. Yawn is going to come out into the Blastoise as well as the Ferrothorn goes for the Curse. It's going to give the attack and defense buff. And drop its own speeds as well, but that's smart stuff there from Silver. You know, raising its defenses is one thing. You know, the body presses can at least start doing some damage if he's got it on there. Those Leech Seeds slowly but surely chipping away at the Hippo and Drake as well. You know, Jabba being very stubborn with his two leads. You know. In game one, it was only really the two going down that made him switch out. There's the Ball Beat comes out. The Blastoise does manage to just about hang on there. And Scald, oh my god, they have put us somehow hanging on there, even in the red. Is going to unfortunately go down to the lead seeds of Ferrothorn. Going to get the double kill there on the Dracozolt and the Hippopotas. And in comes the Houndoom and Tornadus then. Tornadus, of course, did get powered early on in the game. Houndoom probably not where it wants to be right now in the rain. So not exactly the most ideal switch in, but you know, it can at least try and stall out said rain here. Is the music alright for everyone, by the way? Can we hear it? It's not too overpowering. Klefki is going to switch in though for the Blastoise. There it goes. The Houndoom going for its Mega Tailwind's going to come up. There's the Darples. A great read there from Silver, seeing the Darples come away and allows the Ferrothorn to go for yet another lead seed. And you know, Ferrothorn's just about got back most of that damage that it withstood from the Dracozolt early on. Rain Dance comes out from the Klefki again. It's a critical hit from the Flamethrower onto the Ferrothorn. That is huge. How huge could that critical hit be for this game too? Oh man, Silver has just not been getting the rub of the green in terms of RNG these past couple of weeks. You know that we saw the same last week with the crits and the misses. It just has not been going his way, and that could be huge. Silver does go for the fake out on the Blastoise, then Toxic comes out from the Tornadus then, and T-Wave from the Klefki though is Darkmons of course doesn't work, so that's a bit of a misstep on Silver's end. Blastoise with that Rendish is at least going to be restoring some of its health, but eventually that Toxic's going to be doing too much. You are very much on a timeout once the Toxic comes out. What a game too, there's been absolutely just all or nothing chaotic. Flamethrower comes out, just some good damage away there still to the Klefki. There's the Skull from the Blastoise, that's going to get rid of the Houndoom, and now it's all up to the Tornadus against the Klefki and the Blastoise. Blastoise very much on the timer with that Toxic. This one, you know, you've got to think the Tornadus should be able to take this here, but there's while the rains of those skull boosted, you know, rain boosted skulls, get my words out eventually, those rain boosted skulls are going to be doing quite a bit of damage away to that Tornadus, so definitely not over to the Fat Lady Sings, but Jabba definitely in a very strong position. It goes for the Tailwind, though instead Skull does get some very good damage, and there's the Tossing Gleam, it does enough, and Silver brings this one back then, so could have, you know, could have probably won on the offensive there. I'm not too sure how much the power would have affected speeds. That's probably why he's going for the Tailwind, but it ends up being not enough. And into game number 3 goes. It's Kricketune and Blastoise, then so full offensive on Silver Side is Deoxys attack and the Mega Houndoom on Jabba's end. So Jabba also going absolutely all out. That Deoxys attack is going to be doing some damage. Houndoom goes for Mega, is going to get fake out. There is the Thunderbolt from the Deoxys. Not quite doing enough, and the Kricketune going for that sword stance then. Blastoise able to tank that hit at the very least. You know, I must say, from the Deoxys attack as well, he's going to go down this time, even up in the follow me, and Flamethrower is going to get the kill on the Kricketune, and all of a sudden is now a 4v2, and that has gone very badly wrong for Silver in this turn too. You know, I think just put too much into that Kricketune, trying to get the kills with that, and it's very much backfired there against, you know, Mega Houndoom and Deoxys attack. You know, that probably would have been the time to play a little bit more passively, but oh, that's an ouchie. What is in the back for Silver? You've got to think the Ferrothorn is going to be one of them. There is Klefki, and it is Ferrothorn then, so it has the Klefki got a light screen. I don't know that it would really make too much a difference here. Mega Houndoom with that stupid high special attack is going to really get some big hits off. Rain Dance is going to come out, so that's going to be big news there. It's at least going to nullify some of those fire attacks going onto the Ferrothorn from the Mega Houndoom. But really, if the Ferro goes down, then you know Silver's really in a bit of a pickle. There is the Thunderbolt onto the Klefki and the Flamethrower, so it is going to dispatch the Klefki now. It's all up to the Ferrothorn, going for the lead seed, going to just try and stall and chip away at those two ones, but I think Jabber is going to have this one, to be honest. Just the damage output from those two is going to be way too much for Silver to handle here. He's going to go for the Protect and just try and get some of that damage away to the Houndoom, but I think it's just all in vain, to be honest. There's the Thunderbolt. Got some quite good damage rate despite the distance, and the Flamethrower in the rain still gets the kill, and Jabba gets his first win since week 1 of season 3 in a 2-1 fashion, and Silver then goes for another week looking for that W in the championship division, so not making the best start to life this time round, but you know, it's still early days. I think you know, if I'm Silver, I'm gonna just try and do as best I can until the mid-season trades. make a few trades, try and sort of rejig the team and come back in the second half and come out swinging, because you've got to at that point, after making such a difficult start. But full credit to Jabber as well. He played that one really strongly. I think definitely could have had the 2-0 there. I was not too sure on the speeds in terms of Tornadoes being paralysed, but he played that very well and fully deserving of that victory. On to our third game of the week then, and it is the Kyogre Canucks taking on the California Bastiodons. And so Canucks joint top of the championship division as of current, and won the first of the first versus second battles. I'm sure we're going to have many of those during the season as the positions kind of swap around, but did take first blood over Ted last week, so is in a very strong position, joint for first, as we said, with Niels, and we can't understate just how strong this team is. He's been getting such good usage out of that Persian Lola. It has been really, really putting in the work for him. It's just such a strong support man with that fair court ability, and it's just the access to the support moves that it gets. You've got your fake out, you've got stat drops in fake tears and charm, icy wind. You've even got parting shot on there, taunt, weathers. It is the it's the Swiss Army knife of support Pokemon, I think, and he's really put it to good use. Alongside Charizard, not really seen a lot of Venusaur, but Rotom Wash, Donphan, and more surprisingly is the Jirachi. Obviously I myself have Jirachi on my team in the Premier Division, and when it has come, it's either been support or I brought that dumb set in week 2 against Aaron. But Rylak has really got, he squeezed every ounce out of this Jirachi so far, and is really putting in the work, for him. And it's just a very good, well-rounded team. A lot of synergy going on there, and definitely a difficult team to take down. And Omar, I think, is really going to have to be focused on trying to reset Weathers, and trying to deal with the sort of offensive pressure of the likes of the Charizard, and the Rotom Wash. I think Omar tends to play a certain way with that Aerodactyl and the Metagross, trying to get the speeds up, but of course does have the alternative speed option in Trick Room with Chandelure, so it does have another way to go, or potentially can get the Rain Dance up with something like the Hitmontop, and go on the offensive with the Ludicolo thanks to that swift swim. But I think this may even be a good game for something like the Galvantula to come along, to try and slow Rylak down, because you've got to expect Persian Law's going to be bringing the icy winds. Even if Aerodactyl gets those tailwinds up, you're going to want to be trying to slow him down, because that Metagross gets going, it's in a very strong position. But I would be very terrified if I was Omen facing down that Charizard with Mega Metagross. I know it obviously gets the rock slide and things like that, but Charizard moves first, you're definitely in a bit of a pickle for sure. But anyway, guys, let's get on to this one. It is the Kyogre Canucks take on the California Bastiodons. This is, of course, also a replay game, so I'll do my very best to keep up as the action goes on. His Hitmontop and the Aerodactyl leading the line for Oma, and the Persian Alola and Rotom Wash for Rylak. So as we saw last season, Liam getting a lot of use out of Rotom Wash as support. His fake out comes out from both sides, but the Hitmontop's fake out goes afterwards, and Thunderbolt's going to get some really big damage with Aerodactyl, but not quite enough. So much is going to fail. Of course, it looks like that Rotom Wash going for a support move with Icy Wind, going to get the kill for that Alolan Persian then. And drops speed on the Hitmontop, so no, a jetpack on the Hitmontop, and it is going to swap out for the Chandelure Reflect going up for that Rotom Wash. The Zen Headbutt just not doing very much in the foul play though from the Persian Alola. And the Rotom Wash is going to take care of the Mega Metagross, and all of a sudden it is a 4v2, just Rylak making an absolutely balmy start as the energy ball comes out from the Chandelure. Is going to get one on the board and gets rid of the Rotom Wash, but now in comes the Charizard, goes for the Protect there, expecting the Sun to go up in Chandelure to make use of the Heat Wave. That smart stuff there from Rylak, and he has doubled into that Charizard, so out comes the Snarl from the Persian Alola. The Persian Alola has just, it's in Oma's back pocket here. Air Slash comes out on the Hitmontop, not quite does enough. Snarl is going to drop the special attack even further on that Chandelure, and the damage output from it has really been dropped, and Rylak, I think, is just in full cruise control here. Sucker Punch not going to quite get enough done. Scorching Sands from the Charizard is going to get rid of it, and doesn't even need to Mega. The Persian Lola going to get the kill done, and Rylak takes the lead in that game. The one is into game number 2, Orma choosing to stick with his guns and goes to the hip into an Aerodactyl. This time, Rylak switching out and brings in the Jirachi, and Paginola chooses to switch it out though straight away to bring in the Driplim, and out comes the fake out from Paginola. Rain Dance going to come up this time from the hit on top though. Sucker Punch failed, so again, it looks like the Driplim going for support is Tailwind. Rock Slide almost taking it out there. So that's scary stuff, but Sucker Punch is going to take care of the Driplim. And fast one goes to Orma, and out comes the Icy Winds then from Persian as well. Just Orma with no real answer to that thing. And Aerodactyl does at least answer back with its own Tailwinds out. Which is in, and in comes the Mega Metagross. Icy Wind again. Of course, good switching there from Orma. Of course, the Clay Body going to stop any of those drops as Jirachi gets another kill on the board, taking out the Aerodactyl. In comes the Ludicolo and full advantage of that rain. Fake out, going to at least put a stop to that Paginola and stop Tantrum. Not quite doing enough to Jirachi as it goes for cosmic power, trying to get those defensive boosts up, triangles up with the leftovers. Out comes the Follow Me Weatherboy is going to take care of it though, so it's now at CV3, Stomping Tantrum. Not going to be doing all that much in the Paginola, but the Foul Play definitely is doing a lot as now in comes the Mega Charizard. It's going to be able to change the weather up. Bullet Punch not going to be doing anywhere near enough to that Paginola, but Air Slash, big damage away to the Ludicolo. Metagross is going to go down the Snar. Ludicolo now, it's just not doing anything with that Charizard. It's all up to Hypnotop, and Ludicolo has got another fake out option here, but Rylak makes the read and protects there, and Foul Play is going to get the assist. Alolan Persian just getting kills for days, and Flamethrower doesn't quite get the job done, but Persian Alola does, and that is a 2-0 to Rylak, and the Rylak train keeps on chugging, and he goes to 4-0, getting ahead of myself there. 4-0 in the Championship Division, a really strong win there for Rylak, and Orma moving to 2-2. GG's to both players. Rylak just do exactly what he needed to do with that Passion Lola, and just was able to just play it around it, and Orma just had no real answer for it. There was just such a big physical attack presence on his team, outside the Chandelier and the Ludicolo, that he just couldn't really sort of hurt it, to be honest. It just stood there like the Berlin Wall. It hasn't crumbled yet like the Berlin Wall did, but it is standing very, very firm. And yeah, big props to Rylak. He's making such a confident start. It's looking all but likely he's going to finish in that top 2, barring any kind of major sort of collapse in the business end of the season. But all the same, strong stuff. But on to our 4th game then, and it is the Dragonite taking on the pummeling Lickies then. So obviously said earlier, Ted did lose out to Rylak last week, so we'll be looking to try and get back to winning ways and bounce back in this one then. So we'll see what he can get done against the Dragonites. Dragonites, no S tier Pokemon in this team, which I find very interesting. The Caged, the course of the Dragonites, has made a very interesting team here. He's got a lot of use out of that Dragonite with the weakness policy, which has been really exciting to see. Of course, that multi-scale ability really saving the Dragonite skin. It's got quite a lot of good options on there. There's the Mega Morwell and of course the Mega Gallade, 2 sweeping options for him right there. But as we saw last week, the Colossal, I'll be honest, I don't think I ever expected to see Colossal ever again. At least in this league, once we moved away from sort of a Dynamax format, but this thing has just been really working so well for Caged, and massive props to him. The Power Herb Meteor Beam set has really just been working out for him so well. And, if you pair it with something like the Sableye with a Quash, as long as you're not facing down any kind of Darkmon, you've got a really strong sort of duo there. But we've seen it in recent weeks using it with Rhyperior as well. Rhyperior's ability allowing it to lift those super effective attacks. So this thing is kind of like a brick wall. So there's definitely a lot of bulk on that Dragonite's team, and a lot of strong sweeper options. So nothing to sort of turn your nose up at. But I think Ted's team is very much it's very similar to Aaron's team in the Premier Division. You've got that Rillaboom and Swampert there, and of course the ability to set rain on that team as well with the Prankster on the Riolu. You've got 2 types of weather on that Riolu if you really wanted. But then you've also got a really strong sort of Lightning Rod user, Manectric, which can also Mega. If you didn't want to put on the Mega Swampert, and then Celesteela, is a really, really strong support mon and slash sweeper. It's going to hit hard, but it gets those lead seeds off and just can kind of sit there and be annoying. And if it gets the kill, it's going to get that beast boost and that's where things can get a little bit sort of uncomfortable. Comfort as well, is just the equivocal support mon. This thing is so good with the floral healing, just keeping things next to it alive. Unfortunately, it does tend to get doubled down on or sort of hard focus because people want to deal with it. They don't want this thing to be sort of sitting there being an annoying little tit like it likes to do. I don't have any hatred towards Comfort, I promise. It is the cutest little flower boy around, but goddamn, it is such a strong support mon. Shout out to the Gen 7 support mon gang, where you at? Anyway, guys, yeah, really, really strong stuff on both sides. I think it's a bit of a difficult one to call. I said this is Cage's debut season and first ever season in a draft league, and as I said earlier, making a real good account of himself. So I'm sure he won't make it easy for Ted, but Ted, as I said, gonna have a fire lit under him after losing out last week, and is gonna want to get back to winning ways. So let's get into this one. It is the Dragonites taking on the prominent Mickey's that, and Ted has got that Celesteela and that Riolu even goes to the sideline with the Swampert, Comfort, then the Electric, and just brought the Miltank in. Edge, being the line on Colossal and right here, like you mentioned earlier, is also Saber, all our Dragonites, and the Scruffy is the back. So I think Saber is the next one, also just to get those meat and beans off those Colossal does not like. It's not going to enjoy any water use from the likes of the Swampert, that is for sure. A lot of people have trouble taking this town, this thing down, especially this point. I think they're pretty easy. Sorry, I got I always forget. Sunny Day comes out for the Rhyperior then as the Colossal goes for that special attack. The just about hangs on does the Miltank, and Miltank getting the attack and defense boost earlier on as well. Oh my goodness, how it survived there, I do not know. Colossal with a really strong step goes to the Rain Dance. High horsepower from the Miltank, not quite enough to the Colossal. Rock Slide is going to miss the Miltank from that Rhyperior, and the Heat Wave though going to land, and it's going to get both kills on the Riolu and the Miltank. Colossal again just really putting in the work then. Even in the rains, in comes the Celesteela and the Swampert, and Swampert, goes for that Mega is really positioned very strongly here. It's going to be moving fast, it's going to be hitting hard. Thanks to that swift swim ability in Colossal and Rhyperior, you really kind of don't want to be sat in front of. There goes the Colossal then to the Swampert, and Rhyperior just about hanging on for that flash cannon. So out comes the Rock Slide. The Rock Slide does get a critical hit, so not only lands, it gets a critical hit, which is just insane. Leftovers getting a little bit of damage, a little bit of HP back for that Rhyperior. As in comes the Moral then with that Intimidate, so that's really good stuff on that Mega Swampert. Then you're going to lower that thing's attack a little bit, especially while it's in the rain. Those liquidations are really going to be hitting hard, and I would expect the Mega Stone to be on that Moral here, and there it is. Attack comes out from that Swampert then, so Sucker Punch is going to fail. Out comes the Lead Seed from that Celesteela Rock Slide. Yeah, the pure kid, this dude and his Rock Slide misses. Honestly, I think I'm going to become a meme at this point. This dude just does not hit them. You really got to feel some sympathy, but so the Celesteela does get a little bit of HP back. Sucker Punch gets some good damage away. There's Liquidation is going to take a Rhyperior, and now it's a 2v2 air slash, getting some good damage away to the Mega Morwell and Lead Seed. Just chopping it down to below half HP as in comes the Dragonite. Then, so of course, we mentioned this thing does have the multi-scale and weakness policy then, so you've got to hit this thing first and break that multi-scale before you hit it with any kind of super effective attack, because it's just not going to go down easy. And Sucker Punch gets a big damage away then, and there you go, Ted finding out the hard way. You're going to proc that weakness policy. Ice Punch not quite doing enough. So that Celesteela with Dragonite hanging on from that air slash as the rain is going to end. So that Swampert is in a bit of a pickle now, and I think Morwell are going to be comfortable and just sort of go on the attack and protect us out from that Swampert and the Celesteela. Then safe play there from Ted, you've got to admit, as Ice Punch going to get blocked by that Protect. You've got to just slowly chip away at that Morwell's HP with that Leaf Seed being up. This is a close game one, considering how quickly the two went down early on. Ted has really brought this back quite well and put himself in a very strong position here. Can he take this game one, or is Cage going to be able to take the lead in this one? Yeah, I do apologise for the music. I had to set up a whole new Streamlabs thing, and the music wasn't set right. Protect comes out from the Swampert, but that's smart stuff there. It's going to fail, but it means Sucker Punch is going to fail as well. Celesteela gets the double, and that's going to block the Dragonite attack as well. So you had to go for it there. You had to go for the Hail Mary, and it ends up paying off for him. You know, Swampert could now just try and go for the Protect again, and you know, you've got to think Cage has got to go for a different attack here than the Sucker Punch. I realise he's wanting to go first. He's maybe a little bit unsure if the Mega Mawil's faster than the Swampert, but you know, I would just be testing. But Swampert does get the Protect. Sucker Punch going to fail again. Ice Punch is going to take care of that Celesteela at the very least then. And now it's all up to Swampert. Can it do it? Is it going to be faster than that Mawile? It's a very close. Flare Rock comes out, so it doesn't take the bait this time. And Cage takes the lead in this game one. And very, very close game one indeed. On to game two then. So I was going to say, I think Ted may switch it up from that Miltank duo and brings in the Manectric and the Celesteela. And Cage sticking with his guns, you know, sticking with what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Colossal and Rhyperior. As we saw Rhyperior with the Rain Dance last time, which is, I'll be honest, I didn't even know Rhyperior got Rain Dance. Sorry, not Rain Dance. It got Sunny Day. My apologies. We've got some really big damage off on that Manectric. It comes out with the Raw, and it's going to, you know, knock the Colossal away and stops the special attack boost. So Colossal special attack boost is no more, as in comes the Mawile then. So it's going to get the int in on the Manectric. Not the Manectric's going to care too much about that. Being a special attacker. Right here is, of course, Leech Seed going to be slowly just chipping away. Really close game one that I would expect very much the same from this game two. You know, I think Cage is really making a good account of himself here. Against definitely one of the better players in the league. Manectric is going to switch out. In comes that Riolu, then Mega Mawile going into Mega switches right into a play rough, and the Mega Mawile does at least have the focus slash going for it, and Ice Punch comes out from that Rhyperior, not going to get quite enough damage away, and it took a big hit from that Flash Cannon, so Rhyperior in a bit of a pickle. And Riolu then, ugh. Smart stuff there from Ted coming out from the foot. You know, a lot of the time you can sometimes see Riolu coming out with the Eviolite, just try and build a bit of a bulky one. Comes out with the Rain Dance and is going to go down to that Mawile, but it's important. It's got the weather up, and Rhyperior going to be taken down by the Celesteela, which is going to get the Beast Boost. It does at least get the revenge kill there, and it is now 3 apiece between these two. So this is really kind of where Mawile wants to be. Well, it's under the rain, but I tell you what doesn't want to be under the rain is Colossal. It definitely does not want to be here right now. 4 times weak to water. You know, you saw how easily it got yunted by the Mega Swampert last time. Now this is a bit of a tricky situation here for Cage. Can maybe look at trying to sort of switch something in to that Colossal slot, but that Mega Swampert's liquidation is going to hurt real hard. Sucker Punch not going to quite do enough. It's Sucker Punch into the Mega Mawile. It gets the Oko on the Mega Mawile, and Flash Cannon going to get the Spadef drop and get a big damage away at the call. Skulls coming out from the Colossal is not going to quite do enough to that Celesteela. Celesteela a bit too bulky for a non-stab attack like that coming out, as Dragonite is revealed to be the final one. And you know, I think if he can break that multi-scale, he's going to be able to get some really big damage away at that Dragonite, and you know, he's going to be able to comfortably take that out with an Ice Punch. Liquidation into that Colossal is going to take it out, and the dual wing beat into the Swampert, not going to quite do enough. There's the Air Slash to break the multi-scale, and that Dragonite now is going to be easy pickings for that Mega Swampert. So Mega Swampert really putting in the work, getting the Oko on the Mega Mawile. It just didn't stand a chance, and there it is, as Ted ties us up at 1 apiece. We go into yet another game 3 this week's Championship. Boys really loving the game 3s. So is Cage going to switch it up? He does. He brings in the Scrafty and Colossal this time, and it's Riolu and Swampert on Ted, and so Ted, you know, going to go all out to get that rain up. No Intimidate on that Scrafty then, so it looks to be a Moxie sort of like sweeper set. Of course, Scrafty does have access to that fake out, so can try and put at least a little bit of a stop to that Mega Swampert this time. Colossal, really, again, not what you want to be facing down a Mega Swampert with liquidation in the rain. It's just not going to stand a chance. You know, it's just going to get turned into mincemeat. Is the music good now? By the way, guys, I forgot to ask about that. So yeah, as the Colossal does switch out, that's a smart switch out, gets the Intim off early, as there goes the Swampert onto the Mega. Follow Me comes out from the Riolu then, so goes before the Scrafties and gets some big damage on that Scrafty and gets the defense drop as well. So, you know, Ted not going for the rain but goes to the Follow Me instead. So thanks to its prankster ability, it means it goes before the fake out on the Scrafty. So that's smart plays there from Ted. And, you know, again, a good switch in there from Cage. Good read, you know, kept the Colossal alive. And, oh my god. Apologies there. I think I was checking something that time. Coaching coming out from that Riolu is going to get the Swampert back to neutral damage and gives it a defense buff. And Morwell is going to take out that Riolu, and Swampert getting the revenge kill on the Scrafty then brings us to 3 apiece. Celesteela, so Celesteela's just been so strong next to that Mega Swampert. You know, there is no rain up, but you know, it almost doesn't need it. You know, that Swampert has got such strong physical attack. I mean, I know it was under rain, but Mega Morwell went down to its liquidation in the last game. So Sableye can be a nuisance here with its quashes. So of course, Sableye with that fake out as well. Gets access to the likes of Taunt and Will-O-Wisp and Encore, so you could, there's quite a number of amusing sets you can run on that Sableye to just let it be a nuisance. Protect comes out from that from the Swampert. Good reads there, and the double in there from Cage is going to allow the Celesteela to go for a lead seed, but it's going to miss the Morwell, so that could be a huge miss on Ted's end then. You know, really need that lead seed off that time just to be doing that chip damage away to Morwell each time. Is the Will-O-Wisp from the Sableye, so that's really great stuff. Play rough does about half damage to the Swampert. High Horsepower comes out from the Swampert, that's some big damage away at Morwell, and there goes the lead seed this time round. But that was burn damaged Mega Swampert still did that much to Morwell is just honestly insane. You know, this thing is not to be trifled with. Protect going to come out from that Swampert. Taunt from the Celesteela, so onto the Celesteela, so good stuff there from Cage. The Air Slash though is going to take out the Mega Morwell, so a good read there from Ted, and gets the special attack boost on the Beast Boost, and now in comes the Colossal. Really not what you wanted as that fourth final one, but it can still do something here. You know, Sableye has potentially got access to that quash. If you can, you know, get a quash off and do something to that Swampert, he's in a good spot. Flash Cannon does about half damage. Out comes the Meteor Beam. Is it going to be enough? It goes into the Celesteela slot, and Celesteela just completely yunts it, and the High Horsepower is going to get rid. And now it's all up to Sableye and Ted with the 3v1. I think is going to comfortably take this one in a 2-on-1 fashion. Goes to the Will-O-Wisp and the Celesteela as well. Liquidation. Going to be able to do. Gets the red card, so red card reveals on the Sableye with the Flash Cannon is going to take care of it. It doesn't end up mattering in the end. And Ted takes the 2-1 victory in that one. So GG's to Ted and to Cage, of course. Yeah, it was a really fun match to watch. I think once Ted made those adjustments in game 2 and 3, he looked in a little bit more of a commanding position, and once he sort of confirmed it was policy on the Dragonite, you know, was able to play around that and not let it become a problem in that game too. So we did it really smart there. So that was really exciting to see. And yeah, you know, Cage again, he took it to game 3. I think he keeps improving week by week. I think at some point, you know, you're going to see Cage really start pressuring that top 4. Definitely out of like the 3 newer guys there, oh sorry, 2 newer guys, he's impressing me the most. I mean, don't get me wrong, Joe's also playing really well. But you know, for considering the team Cage has put together, you know, no S tiers, has made full use of the sort of the other tiers in that tier list and put together a really strong lineup. So full credit to him. But after this week's games, let's see what that does to the British Formula League Championship table then. So as you can see, Scuba Squirtles and Kyogre Canucks still locked in first and second, both on that 4-0 +7 match difference record, looking very strong. So it's going to be exciting when those two come to blows in a couple of weeks' time. Pomni Licky's just sort of solidifying that 3rd position with that win over the Dragonites there. Of course, Ormer losing out to the Canucks. and goes to the 2-2 record. Meanwhile, below is the RazzleDazzleSalazzles Dragonites and the Nicer Sidonia on 1-3. Nicer Sidonia, as we said, with that first win since week number 1 in season 3. I just cannot understate just how insane that is. It's took him this long, but massive credit to Jabba. He finally gets that win, and he's persevered and stuck with it and gets it. And at the bottom of the table then is Silver and his Tyranitar Tyrants. 0-4 -7. It's not on a sailboat at this point, and this is the bonus of the Championship Division. It is reverse fixtures, so there will be 14 games this season, just like there was in Season 1 of the British Pokemon League. So it is still way too early to say that that Silver is well out of the running. It's still way too early to say anyone is looking, unbeatable. Anything can happen. I think the trade window in a couple of weeks' time is going to be really huge for this lot, and it's going to be exciting to see what changes they make. But anyway, my guys, it has been my absolute pleasure to host the Championship Show this week. We'll, of course, be back next Sunday. Can't say exactly what time. We'll definitely be back next Sunday. Maybe it'll be my face. Maybe it'll be someone else's. Maybe it'll be R&T Marshall's. Maybe it'll be, Big Dog Dave. Who knows? Who knows who it'll be? Who we can't say. And that's not me covering saying because I don't know. Nah, but we'll have a few guest slots over the next couple of weeks, and we'll try and get some consistency with the Championship Show. But all the same, I hope you've enjoyed the Championship Show this week, and I hope you're enjoying this extra content that we're giving you for this season. It's been a blast to put on both shows, and it's really exciting to just cover both divisions. We will see you next week for the Championship Show next Sunday, as I said, here on twitch.tv/British Pokemon League. You can, of course, catch the British Pokemon League show tomorrow at 8 PM here on that same Twitch channel. I mentioned we'll go all over all of last week's British Pokemon League Premier Division action, and there is some doozies for sure, as there always is. And as there always is, there's always plenty of Pokemon left to play. But I have been your host, Matt Starr. I'll bid you goodbye and good night. Mwah.